The rhythmic clatter of the old truck engine sounded like a symphony of pure luck to the ears of Jed Clampett as he sat behind the wheel, looking out over the rolling hills that stretched toward the horizon. It was a story that the kinfolk loved to tell, and one that the neighbors would never tire of repeating around the hearth fire on cold winter nights. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer who barely kept his family fed, and yet true wealth was never measured by the emptiness of the pantry, but by the abundance of the heart. Then one beautiful day, while the sun was climbing high in the sky, and the birds were singing their sweet songs in the ancient trees, Jed was shooting at some food in the woods, hoping to bring home a good supper for his beloved family. As fate would have it, his rifle shot missed the small game, but struck the earth with a strange and wondrous force, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil. That is, the dark and mysterious treasure hidden beneath the soil for centuries, which the townspeople fondly referred to as black gold or Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, the news spread faster than a wildfire through the dry brush, and oh, Jed is a millionaire, completely transformed by a twist of good fortune that nobody could have predicted. The kinfolk gathered around the old cabin, talking and laughing, and they said, "Jed, move away from there, because a man with that kind of wealth needs to see the wider world." They said that California is the place you ought to be, a land of endless sunshine and orange groves where the winters are warm and the opportunities are as vast as the ocean. So they loaded up the old family truck with all their earthly belongings, securing the rocking chairs and the iron pots with thick ropes, and they moved to Beverly Hills. That is, a place of magnificent swimming pools and dazzling movie stars where the lawns are always green. The Beverly Hillbilly was what some people called him, but Jed remained the same humble and kind soul he had always been, never letting the glittering lights of the city change the goodness in his heart. After a long and wonderful holiday season spent away from the mansion, the family was finally returning home, and Miss Jane Hathaway was kindly driving them through the countryside. "Miss Jane, we sure are obliged to you for driving us to Hooterville," Jed said, his voice filled with sincere gratitude as he tipped his hat to the loyal secretary. "Oh, it is my absolute pleasure, Mr. Clampett," Miss Jane replied with a warm smile, adjusting her glasses as she guided the vehicle smoothly down the winding country road. "Christmas at Petticoat Junction was a delightful experience," she added, remembering the bright decorations, the sound of laughter, and the wonderful warmth of the local hospitality. "Come on in and have something to eat, Miss Jane," Jed invited warmly as they pulled up to the house, wanting to extend their country hospitality the very moment they arrived. "Very well," Miss Jane said, feeling her appetite grow at the mention of a home-cooked meal, though she knew that country cooking could sometimes be full of unexpected surprises. Granny, who was standing on the porch with her apron already tied around her waist, looked toward the kitchen door with a sudden look of caution in her eyes. "Granny, I think you had better check the pantry first, and remember that Jethro has been home all this time by himself," Ellie Mae called out with a chuckle. "Oh, besides, I had better hurry next door and check in with the chief," Miss Jane said, realizing she needed to report back to her employer, Mr. Milburn Drysdale. "Oh, Mr. Drysdale is staying here, and they can cure my bear," Ellie Mae explained with great excitement, believing that the fresh country air and the local remedies would be perfect for her large furry pet. "Really?" Miss Jane asked, looking somewhat surprised by this piece of news. "Well, Fairchild just loves Mr. Drysdale," Ellie Mae continued, referencing her pet bear with fond affection. "I bet you they have been having a lot of fun together while we were gone, and I wonder who's been doing all the cooking for them." "It was likely Mr. Drysdale who took over the kitchen duties," Jed suggested with a thoughtful nod of his head. "Well," Granny said, scratching her chin as she pondered the situation, "if Mr. Drysdale has been doing the cooking for Jethro and Ellie's bear, he has not had much time for banking." Just as they were about to step through the front door, Jethro came rushing out of the house, his face lighting up with pure joy at the sight of his family. "Boy, am I glad you are all back, especially you, Granny," Jethro shouted, running down the steps with his arms wide open. "I love you, and can I carry you into the house?" he asked, lifting his arms as if he were ready to hoist her up right then and there. "Oh, if it makes you happy, Jethro," Granny replied, letting out a rare chuckle at her nephew's boundless enthusiasm. Oh, it does, Jethro said, scooped her up with his immense strength. I want to get you to the stove as quick as I can. You put me down right this minute, Granny yelled, tapping him on the shoulder. You are all hard, boy, and he is all stomach when it comes to wanting a hot meal. Here, have something to eat, Jed said, offering a small snack from his pocket to calm the hungry young man down. Yes, sir, Jethro said, eagerly taking the offering while Granny adjusted her bonnet and gave him a stern look. Jethro, apparently you were not too happy with the chief's cooking, Miss Jane observed, noting how desperate Jethro seemed for Granny to return to the kitchen stove. Mr. Drysdale, Jethro asked, looking confused. He has not been here since Christmas. He has not, Jed asked, scratching his head in genuine surprise. No, sir, Jethro explained. He took the old truck and Ellie's bear, and he drove all the way to Hooterville to join you. He never got there, Miss Jane said, her heart suddenly sinking with deep worry for her beloved employer. Wait a minute, Jed, Granny said, tapping her chin as a memory flashed through her mind. When we were on that train on Christmas night singing carols and enjoying the holiday spirit, I recollect Sam Drucker looking out the frosted window and saying he had seen a bear driving a truck down the snow-covered road. Yeah, and we just thought he had had far too much eggnog, Jed recalled, remembering how they had all laughed at the storekeeper's wild story. No, that was Bearchild. Ellie Mae corrected them with a proud smile, using her special nickname for the animal. I learned him how to drive so he could spell Mr. Drysdale at the wheel whenever the banker got tired. A bear driving a truck, Granny exclaimed, her eyes wide with total disbelief. He is not bad at it at all, Granny, Jethro defended the animal. He hogs the road a lot, but the other drivers never complain about his steering. Jed shook his head slowly, wondering how a Beverly Hills banker and a giant bear could have vanished into thin air. I wonder why he did not stop in Hooterville if that was where he was heading, Jed mused, looking out over the fields. That town is easy to miss in the daytime, Granny pointed out, and at night, with no lights to speak of on that old truck, it would be nearly impossible. There were no brakes to speak of, neither, Jethro added cheerfully, but she runs good because I filled the gas tank with Granny's White Lightning. What? Granny shrieked, her voice reaching a high pitch of absolute shock. And I gave him plenty of extra jugs for the trip back, Jethro continued, completely unaware of the danger, thinking he had performed a wonderful deed. That stuff is liquid dynamite, Miss Jane gasped, knowing the legendary strength of Granny's homemade mountain brew. I will say it is, Jed agreed, knowing that a single drop could make an old engine roar like a mountain lion. Maybe he overshot Hooterville entirely, Miss Jane suggested, her mind racing with terrible visions of Mr. Drysdale lost in the deep wilderness. I certainly hope we hear from him soon, she added anxiously. If he runs into something with a truck full of that moonshine, the whole countryside will hear from him, Granny remarked dryly, imagining the explosive results. Meanwhile, miles away on a dusty dirt road near the river, the old truck had indeed come to a complete halt. A local county sheriff, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and a heavy star on his chest, walked slowly toward the vehicle, tapping his wooden nightstick against his palm. Hey, the sheriff called out, looking into the cab of the truck. Hey, huh? A voice answered from inside, groaning as a man tried to sit up. Oh, who are you? The sheriff asked, peering through the window at the disheveled figure. I am a sheriff. Who are you? The lawman demanded, shining his flashlight even though the sun was shining bright. Oh, I am the president of the Commerce Bank of Beverly Hills, Milburn Drysdale said, trying to adjust his wrinkled tie and maintain a shred of dignity. Oh, the sheriff said, nodding sarcastically as he looked over at the passenger side. Well, who is your friend? The mayor, the sheriff asked, pointing at the massive furry creature snoring loudly next to the banker. He is not my friend, Mr. Drysdale protested vehemently, rubbing his aching forehead. He is just a rotten, no-good hippie bear. Oh, the sheriff muttered, leaning closer. You ride around with bears a lot, do you? The lawman asked, his skepticism growing by the second. Oh, of course not, Mr. Drysdale said, waving his hands in the air. Now look, Sheriff, I can explain everything because I must admit, it does seem a bit peculiar from an outside perspective. No, not at all, the sheriff countered dryly. Just let me see your driver's license. Oh, my wallet is missing, Mr. Drysdale said, frantically patting his pockets and finding absolutely nothing. Maybe your hippie friend rolled you, the sheriff suggested, looking at the sleeping bear. No, it probably dropped out of my pocket, Mr. Drysdale explained, feeling utterly miserable. You see, we have been sleeping on the ground a lot because these lousy motels around here will not give us a room. No fool, the sheriff said, shaking his head. That is mighty unfriendly of them. Everybody has been unfriendly, Mr. Drysdale complained, letting out a deep sigh. We drive up to a farmhouse, try to use the phone, ask for a little food, and they stick the mean dogs on us. We are going to make up for all that, the sheriff said with a grim smile. We want you to be a guest of the county for a while. Well, now, that is more like it, Mr. Drysdale said, misunderstanding the lawman's intent. You mean I am under arrest? The banker asked as the truth dawned on him. That is right, the sheriff confirmed. What for? Mr. Drysdale shouted. What are the charges against me? For a starter, hauling moonshine, the sheriff stated, pointing to the wooden crates in the back of the truck. Now, look, Sheriff, you've got it all wrong, Mr. Drysdale pleaded. I just used this stuff to run the truck on. You mean you used the truck to run this stuff on? The sheriff corrected him, tapping a jug with his nightstick. Shoo, Mr. Drysdale hissed suddenly, looking terrified. Keep your voice down, and put that corn whiskey away right now. If he wakes up and sees that jug, he will go right for it. You mean you let that bear drink? The sheriff asked, his eyes wide. Try and stop him, Mr. Drysdale whispered. He is sleeping one off now, and when he wakes up with a hangover, he is mean. You've got to be crazy to be riding around with a drunken bear, the sheriff remarked, stepping back. That is nothing, Mr. Drysdale confessed, but when he is driving, then it is nervous. Let us go, follow me, the sheriff ordered. Where are we going? Mr. Drysdale asked. We are going to the courthouse, and if I look back and see that bear driving, you are in big trouble. You rotten bear, Mr. Drysdale muttered under his breath to the sleeping animal. I ought to undress you and put you to bed, but instead, you ought to be in the drunk tank. A short while later, inside the small county jail, Mr. Drysdale was sitting on a hard wooden bench, looking thoroughly defeated. The sheriff entered the room, holding a piece of paper. Mr. Drysdale, I just made that phone call to your bank, the lawman announced. Oh, good, Mr. Drysdale said, jumping up with hope. Did you speak to Miss Hathaway? No, she was not there, the sheriff replied. Well, whoever you spoke to, I am sure they gave you the word and confirmed my identity, the banker said confidently. They sure did, the sheriff chuckled. Said they had never heard of you. Are you sure you talked to the Commerce Bank? Mr. Drysdale asked, his face turning pale. That is the one, the sheriff nodded. Well, who did you talk to? Mr. Drysdale demanded, his anger rising. I will fire them the minute I get out of here. I could not catch the fellow's name, the sheriff said, because he was laughing too hard. Did you tell him his boss was in jail? Mr. Drysdale asked, clenching his fists. Yes, sir, and that is when he started laughing even harder, the sheriff said, shaking his head. You let me out of here, Mr. Drysdale yelled, rattling the iron bars. I know my rights, and I want to run. Oh, excuse me, Fairchild, the banker added quickly in a quiet whisper as the bear let out a loud groan from the corner of the cell. I will be quiet, go back to sleep. It is a good bear, he mumbled, trying to keep the beast calm. Back in Beverly Hills, the atmosphere at the Commerce Bank was surprisingly festive. Miss Jane Hathaway walked through the glass doors and stopped dead in her tracks, staring at the employees. What is this? Miss Hathaway demanded, looking at the decorations. We are celebrating New Year's Eve, one of the clerks answered cheerfully. It is past, Miss Hathaway pointed out sternly. We are celebrating something better than that, Mr. Cratchit said, stepping forward with a wide grin on his face. Yeah, we finally got him, public enemy number one, and he is securely in jail. Skinflint Drysdale, another employee shouted. Yeah, the beast of Beverly Hills, they cheered. Where is Mr. Drysdale? Miss Hathaway asked, her voice dripping with authority. Well, Miss Hathaway, I do not know, Mr. Cratchit said, trying to look innocent. Promise me you will keep it a secret. Of course not, Miss Hathaway snapped. He must be released immediately. Oh, he will never be released, Mr. Cratchit said joyfully. They have got him for vagrancy, bootlegging, and contributing to the delinquency of a bear. Mr. Cratchit, do you want the doors of this bank to close forever? Miss Hathaway asked, raising an eyebrow. Oh, yes, that is a great idea, Mr. Cratchit beamed. We will make it a legal holiday, Liberation Day. We will hang out flags and colorful bunting, and we will let all the employees go off on a wonderful picnic in the park. The only place we are going is to the town where Mr. Drysdale is being held, and we're going to take him out of that jail, Miss Hathaway declared firmly. No, 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 I will have no part of a lynch mob, Mr. Cratchit protested, holding up his hands. I mean we are going to bail him out, Miss Hathaway clarified with an exasperated sigh. Do we have to, Miss Hathaway? Miss King asked, looking disappointed. You may return to the secretarial pool, Miss King, Miss Hathaway ordered. Yes, ma'am, Miss King muttered. Nice try, Bobby, she whispered to a colleague. Thank you, Kathy dear. Thank you, Bobby replied. Now then, Mr. Cratchit, where exactly is Mr. Drysdale? Miss Hathaway demanded. Oh, he is in a small town called Ripley, Mr. Cratchit revealed. Where is that? I have never heard of Ripley, Miss Hathaway said, looking confused. Oh, but you will, Mr. Cratchit smiled. We are going to make it a national shrine, the town where they captured the notorious Milburn Drysdale. Mr. Cratchit, where is Ripley? Miss Hathaway demanded again. I will never tell, Miss Hathaway, never, 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 he insisted, crossing his arms. Mr. Cratchit, you look for him back here, she said, pointing toward the files. Oh, great, he groaned. Back at the Clampett mansion, Miss Jane had communicated the news to the family. Miss Jane says Fairchild is in jail. Ellie Mae cried out, tears welling up in her eyes. Your bear is there? Jed asked, looking concerned. Yes, sir. We have got to get him out right away. Whereabouts is he, Miss Jane? Jed asked. In a little town called Ripley, she answered. But what is even more disturbing is that we have got to do something right now. Get a lawyer, call the Supreme Court, Granny shouted, pacing the floor. Granny, bake Fairchild a cake with a saw hidden in it, Ellie Mae begged. Calm down, Ellie, Jed comforted his daughter. Well, it is all Jethro's fault, Ellie Mae complained, stamping her foot. Just wait till I find him. He has done turned Bessie the chimpanzee into a short-order cook, and now he is going to have my bear on a chain gang. Sorry, Miss Jane, but Ellie says it is a great story about them critters, Jed said, trying to keep the peace. Yes, well, there is another critter she failed to mention who is also under arrest, Mr. Drysdale, Miss Jane revealed. What? Jed asked. Well, as I understand it, he is sharing a small cell with Ellie's bear in the Ripley jail, Miss Jane explained. Where is Ripley? Jed asked. I could not find it on the map, but it must be somewhere between here and Hooterville, Miss Jane mused. I will bet Sam Drucker would know, Granny suggested. He is the postmaster and the justice of the peace over there. Good thinking, Granny, Jed agreed. Give him a call on the telephone. How come they got Mr. Drysdale in the locker? Jethro asked, walking into the room. They claim he is a vagrant, Jed answered. Is that bad? Jethro asked. Well, I am afraid so, Jed said. I knew a whole family of them back home, Herb and Louise Vagrant, the nicest folks you ever want to meet. Well, Jethro, Miss Jane intervened. In this case, a vagrant is someone who does not work, a loafer. Oh, well, they couldn't